Hi there and welcome to The Ghost Writer. This is a channel where we talk about all things haunted. My name is Kate and today we're going to be talking about the USS Turner Joy in Bremerton, Washington. The USS Turner Joy was the last Forrest Sherman-class destroyer ever built and was commissioned in August of 1959, so basically they started to use it then. Throughout its service, it conducted numerous tours in the Pacific and is most well known for the mysterious Gulf of Tonkin incident. In 1964, the USS Turner Joy was on tour with the USS Kitty Hawk Task Group, and it began surveillance off the coast of Vietnam. Their goal was to gather information from the North Vietnamese and then give it to the South Vietnamese. So we were already starting to cause problems in Vietnam. Nothing really happened until August 2nd. Everything was really normal. There was no interactions between any of the Vietnamese. August 2nd came and the USS Maddox reported being attacked. So this is kind of the beginning of the Gulf of Tonkin incident. The USS Maddox was conducting similar patrols to the Turner Joy in the Gulf of Tonkin when it was attacked by 3 North Vietnamese torpedo boats. So the USS Turner Joy turned to respond, arriving to the Maddox aid as one of the ships was sinking and 2 of the ships were retreating. Both the Maddox and Turner Joy were then ordered out of the Gulf and then told to return the next day. So they weren't even out of the Gulf for an entire day. At 8 p.m. on August 4th, the Maddox and Turner Joy reported that there were signs of small vessels approaching on their sonar and radar system. So they called for help and planes from the Ticonderoga arrived to provide support. By that night, the Turner Joy had sighted 2 torpedoes approaching and maneuvered itself to dodge the attack and began firing at indications from the radar system. So at this point, they hadn't actually seen it, but they were using their systems to fire at what they assumed were torpedoes coming at them. This went on for 3.5 hours. So during that time, the U.S. military forces fired at what they believed to be hostile vessels, and they thought that they sunk 2 and critically damaged another 2. But when the sun rose the next day and they sent boats out to do reconnaissance, they saw nothing. So whatever they were shooting at wasn't really there. Despite the fact that there was no evidence that there was any sort of engagement that night, many of the crew on both boats reported that they had first-hand eyewitness account, had seen the vessels. Later, all of the really important military personnel at the time would say that it was likely due to severe weather conditions and rough waters, which is not uncommon for the area. In 1995, so way after all of this, the Vietnamese defense minister from that time said that they did not engage with the US forces. No one has really been able to attribute this incident to anything. So in my mind, with there not really being a clear answer to what happened that night, I always wonder if maybe it was something paranormal that happened, or if the sea was just playing tricks on the sailors like it has done so many times throughout history. Whether or not there was actually a battle that night doesn't really matter, because everything that had happened prior to made the tension high enough that the US decided to officially legally enter into involvement with Vietnam. After this incident, the ship would continue to serve in Vietnam on gunfire support missions and provided call fire for those fighting on shore at Chule. The Turner Joy took out many enemies during this conflict, but at the end of 24 hours of going non-stop, around from gun mount 53 misfired, destroying it, and it took 3 sailors with it. So the ship departed from that incident for repairs and would return to support duty off of Vietnam. When it returned, it didn't provide the same sort of aid as before, where it was helping forces on the ground, but instead it would target enemy logistic locations at sea in what is known as Operation Sea Dragon. The Turner Joy struck wherever possible though, not just at sea. It hit both land and sea locations, and really this was just if they were able to hit something at land, they were going to. On April 7th, while firing at enemy craft, the ship would come under fire and the ship's supply office would be hit, but luckily no lives were lost during the incident, and the vessel received repairs again and returned to Vietnam. After quite a few tours in Vietnam, the ship would complete its service in November of 1982, and after that it would become a museum ship in Bremerton, Washington. Although it is now a historic museum, a lot of people say that those who served on the ship never truly left. It is believed that there are 1 to 3 male spirits on board, which makes sense considering the incident with the gun mount. And these male spirits have been spotted by visitors and staff. One of these sailors is particularly fond of the ladies, so in a mirror outside of the men's berthing, a man's face has appeared, startling ship staff to the point where their cleaning ladies have literally run off the boat. I don't know if you can imagine that, but you're just cleaning, you know, wiping down the mirror, you got your glass cleaner, everything smells like ammonia, and you look up and there's just a face staring back at you. I would be scared too. These 3 guys are not the only spirits on board, and many unseen presences have been felt by many who visit. The founder of the Pacific Northwest Paranormal Research Center in Seattle, that's a mouthful, Ross Allison, heard a man call to him. An investigator from the ghost team felt someone following her throughout the ship, and many visitors report cold spots in the aft gun turret, engine room, and berthing areas. And these are all key signs of a haunting. One of the hauntings that I find the most interesting, however, is what happens when investigators go into the refrigerator area. After the 3 sailors lost their lives, their bodies were moved into the refrigerator. And now when investigators enter that area, their camera batteries that were fully charged when they went in will automatically die. This is a sign that a spirit may be trying to manifest themselves, because it takes energy for a spirit to manifest. So the energy from electronics, like camera batteries, are absorbed in order to try to prevent themselves. So it kind of makes you wonder if maybe one of those 3 men wants to be seen. Now, other strange incidents have also occurred in that area. There have been EVPs of chefs fighting, so maybe one of those guys is trying to appear to us. And an investigator from Ghostly Activities experienced someone grabbing their leg. And this is definitely somewhere where you want to be prepared for something absolutely crazy to happen. Outside of reports of first-hand encounters with the paranormal, hard evidence has been collected that supports these accounts. EVPs are the primary source of evidence, and EVPs are just an unexplainable voice that often comes over video recorder or on cell phone video, and people will often try to interpret these and make out some sort of word or phrase from them, which is really interesting. And I do love to play the guessing game of what are they trying to say? That's not the only form of hard evidence that has been captured, as the ghost team was able to communicate with the spirit using a flashlight, which is terrifying to even think about. Another investigation was conducted by the Washington State Paranormal Society, and they gathered a significant amount of evidence that supported a haunting as well. In the berthing area, they measured significant changes in temperature and recorded an EVP of a man whistling and saying, "Come up." And they would also later hear a voice asking, "What are you doing?" while they were on the ship's deck. So I wonder if they were trying to get them on the ship's deck and kind of play with these people as they were investigating. While all of these stories, facts, and evidence support that there is a haunting, some people would like to disagree with that. Specifically, the director of the USS Turner Joy Museum during 2009, Steve Warner, refused to believe that the ship was haunted, and he even talked about how the Boy and Girl Scout troops would come, stay the night, and would never be afraid of anything. And I just really don't think that's an adequate measurement of whether or not something is haunted. But hey, what do I know? Another employee, Anthony Moore, also said that he never had any experience with the paranormal, but if investigators wanted to bring some spirits with them to help them with maintenance, hey, the more the better. If you're interested in taking a tour of the USS Turner Joy, it is a museum, so you can go during regular business hours to take a tour, do a guided tour. They have plaques outside all of the compartments that explain what used to go on in there, and it's a really cool experience. I've gotten to go myself. Other than that, you can go do an official paranormal investigation on board with Spooked in Seattle Ghost Tours. They hold monthly ghost tours on the first Saturday of every month, and funds do go back to the ship to help support its maintenance. I think it would be really cool to go give this place a visit, and I am definitely interested in doing one of these paranormal investigations. If we do go, I'll definitely share it with you guys, and we can decide for ourselves whether or not it's truly haunted. Well, that's it for the USS Turner Joy, and I hope to spook you later. My throat is dry.